Will Josh Jacobs return to the Raiders next season? I want you to give me a yes, or I want you to type your N for no. Coming up here on the Raiders Report, I'm going to give you my answer on whether or not the Raiders star running back returns in 2024. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Retz here, host of the Raiders Report by Chat Sports. And coming up on today's show is a question that I have been asked over and over and over again. And I have answered it plenty of times on live, but man, I've been asked it so many since Josh McDaniels was fired. I figured, like, you know what, man, I got to make a segment around this. In the terms of will Josh Jacobs return, I'm going to tell you at the very, very end of today's show. So the reason why this is a big-time question is because we have heard all the stories out there. McDaniels doesn't pay running backs. The Patriot Way's not paying running backs. Dave Ziegler doesn't pay running backs. But now that the clown is gone, is there a possibility that Jacobs returns in 2024? So as it stands right now, Josh Jacobs is playing on the franchise tag this year, somewhere around $11.8 million. So the tag this year was originally $10.1 million. But remember, the offseason negotiations, Jacobs is playing at $11.8. He was drafted in the first round, pick number 24 overall back in 2019, which is crazy because I can remember, man, they took CLEM, they took Jacobs, and then they took Abrams at 27. But because he was franchise tag, he is going to be a free agent next season. And at the time that I'm recording this video, sure, Jacobs is not leading the NFL in rushing yards like he was last season. In fact, he's tied for 10th right now in the league with 506 rushing yards on 5 touchdowns. But, like, let's be real here. Him with Aiden O'Connell and without Josh McDaniels is a lot better than him with whatever the hell they were putting on the field earlier this season. And Jimmy Garoppolo, Brian Hoyer, Josh McDaniels. I expect Jacobs to be doing a lot better. And Jacobs has been one of the best running backs that the Raiders have ever had. That's a cold, hard fact. Since he was drafted out of Alabama in round 1, Jacobs has been a workhorse. I mean, when you look at the stats up here on screen, that's 40 total touchdowns. Now, obviously, the big year that he had was last season, 340 carries, 1,653 yards, 12 touchdowns, but he also had over 2,000 total yards. So the question that I'm going to ask a lot of the nation, and the reason why I'm going to do it is because I love Raider fans because they remind me at times so much of, like, my family dynamic where, you know, I got, like, my dad, my Uncle Wayne, like, they're, like, old school, like, fans, right? Like, they're like, nah, like, sports, the NBA, NFL was different in the 90s and 80s, hell, even in the 70s. And then, like me, I'm a lot more recent because I can only base my football knowledge off of the most recent shit that I see. So here's my question, and I can't wait to see how this one goes down. Is Josh Jacobs the greatest Raiders running back of all time? Let me know down below if you're saying, no way, Mitch. Let me know who. Who do you think is the greatest Raiders running back of all time? Because in today's NFL, typically you don't pay running backs because it is a very easily replaceable position. However, you got a young quarterback. What happens if you draft a QB? You want to have a running back that you know that you can rely on to be able to take the weight off that young QB's shoulders. When you look at Jacobs' numbers, though, I'll tell you this. Jacobs' numbers are very, very impressive in terms of all-time carries with the Raiders. He is third on that list. In terms of rushing yards, he is third on that list. In terms of rushing touchdowns, he is third on that list. I mean, rushing yards per game at 76.0. He is first on that list. Like, to me, I know what Josh Jacobs is able to do from top to bottom. And I mean, it is a very, very impressive stat point. I should also mention the rushing yards. I effed that up. As soon as I saw it, I knew it was wrong. His career rushing yards is 5,246. This amount of rushing yards here. Bonus points if you can name the Raiders running back that has this many rushing yards, because I'm about to talk about him here in just a little bit. To me is this, though. Like, I think Jacobs is an incredible running back. Like, he is great between the tackles. His step is great. His acceleration, his ability to make guys miss. He's a lot better of a zone reader. He's the vision. It's all there. But he's the third best Raiders running back of all time. And to me, it is Bo Jackson and it is Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen is like the the greatest in terms of longevity, the stats. Bo Jackson is the best athlete that I have ever seen with my eyeballs. Like, if you could tell me, would I rather have Bo Jackson, Marcus Allen, Josh Jacobs, one football game, and like I get to pick him at their peak? No disrespect to Jacobs, no disrespect to Marcus Allen. I'm taking Bo Jackson every single day of the week. But you know what? This show isn't about me, and I feel like we got to start doing this a lot more. I got to pay my dues to some of the best Raiders of all time, because we only talk about current Raiders players. I'm a new Raider fan, but I got to show my love. I got to give my flowers to some of the all-time greats, because guys like Bo Jackson, guys like Marcus Allen, they paved the path for me to be able to do what I do now. So who's the best Raiders running back of all time? Was it Bo Jackson? I want you to type BJ. If you want to type Bo, go ahead and do it. If it was Marcus Allen, give me an MA down below. I can't wait to see how these answers come in, because for me personally, it's this. And I get it. Bo Jackson did not put up the career numbers that Marcus Allen did. No doubt about it. But does anybody out there legitimately think if Bo Jackson has a long of a career as Marcus Allen, is this even a question? I mean, Bo was built different. Bo was just, when you can play baseball at the level he does, when you can be a running back the way he is, just the numbers that he put up, 5.4 yards per carry to be a man that big, run that fast. Again, if I'm going for one game at their peak, I will take Bo Jackson, and that is no disrespect on Marcus Allen and Josh Jacobs. It's just, that's how great Bo truly was. So coming up here on the show, will Josh Jacobs return in 2024? I'll tell you my answer. And for those of you that have watched the show before, you probably know my answer already. But, I got to break it down, because I got to realize, man, we got over 154,000 subscribers. I know that not every single person watches all the shows that I do. So I'm really, really excited to be able to break down whether or not Jacobs is back next season. But you know what? I'm also really excited about? The fact that the Raiders Report keeps growing and growing and growing. It's because we have such an amazing fan base. And because we have such an amazing fan base, we get a company like Game Time. We get a company like Game Time that shows up on Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. Hell, they're on Thursday Night Football sometimes. If you haven't seen Game Time on TV, it's probably because you don't watch Game Time. So you know what? Like, one of the biggest pat on the backs that you can ever do is when you get a sponsor that is on other these major NFL networks, guess what? That shows you what we're doing here on the Raiders Report. So if you want to download the Game Time app, you can do it right now. You're going to get $20 off with code RaidersChat down below. And the reason why I love Game Time is I'm going out to Las Vegas this weekend. It's my dad's birthday next weekend, so we're kind of going to party it up a little bit in Vegas. And I've been telling my dad for a long time, I'm like, Dad, if you want to go to the Jets-Raiders game Sunday Night Football, let's wait till the last minute and let's get you tickets. But you know what the other great part is? On Friday, my dad arrives into Las Vegas on Saturday. So I was texting my cousin Tori, who lives out in Vegas, and I was like, what do you want to do? Let's use the Game Time app. Let's get some tickets. Let's do something. And the beautiful part is, I don't know what we're going to do in Vegas, but I'm going to get there tomorrow. I'm going to go on my Game Time app, and I'm going to see last-minute ticket deals. And then I'm going to pull the trigger on something, and I'm going to get something at such a discount that we're going to walk in there and we're going to feel like ballers because we barely paid anything. And if that's kind of how you like to live, I really think that the Game Time app is the perfect app for being out in Las Vegas, because there's so much to do, and to tie yourself down to one thing, it's not really realistic. So the Game Time app is unbelievable. I want you to guys go try it out. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code RaidersChat for $20 off your first purchase. Check out the Game Time app for last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. That link's going to be available to you guys down in the comments and down in the description down below. Also, terms apply again. Download the Game Time app, code RaidersChat for $20 off. All right, so is Jacobs going to be back in 2024? I'm just going to hit this one more time. Remember, Jacobs on the franchise tag, drafted in round one back in 2019. Remember, the Raiders declined his fifth-year option last offseason, decided to franchise tag him this season, and the fact that he's going to be a free agent, he can either test the market or he can decide to, hey, I want to remain a Raider, which is going to be an interesting situation. Here's the other problem, though, for the Raiders. If you're going to tag him again, because you tagged him this season, the way that the NFL franchise tag works is now it's at 120%. So since it was $10.1 million, and since the Raiders gave him $11.8 million, $11.8 million at 120% is right around $14.1 million, $14 million in 2024. I don't know if the Raiders are going to pay that. Jacobs also wants a long-term deal. He was looking for a 3-year deal at least this offseason. He wants a long-term deal with some more guaranteed money, and he was unable to get that last offseason. Tony Pollard wasn't able to get that. Saquon Barkley wasn't able to get it. So, to me, you got to do 3 things before you decide what you're going to do with Josh Jacobs. So, to me, you got to look at all your options. Before you decide what you're going to do with your star running back, you got to look at 3 things. The first thing you got to look at is the 2024 running back class. And I'm going to be very, very blunt with all of y'all. There is not a single running back in this class that deserves to be drafted in round 1. In fact, I'll put some money down that there will not be a running back drafted in the first round of 2024, which is okay, because that means then the Raiders could potentially get some solid talent later on. But the way that I look at it is this. Here are your top 10 running backs in the 2024 class. Are any of these guys better than Jacobs? No. I'm not going to sit up here and try to twist it. I'm not going to sit up here and say, oh, well, Trey Benson, hell of a running back. Oh, well, Blake Corum, hell of a running back. Oh, well, Jonathan Brooks, hell of a running back. A lot of these running backs are phenomenal. But at the end of the day, the running back position in the NFL is a very replaceable position. So if you don't look at any of these backs and say, you know what, I feel comfortable putting one of these backs with either Aiden O'Connell or the rookie quarterback that we will draft in 2024, if you can't do that, well, then maybe, and just maybe, you have to consider about bringing back Josh Jacobs. Now, we're going to get into my 2 other things that the organization's going to have to look at, whoever's the head coach, whoever is the GM. But for those that do not know, I'm doing a Raiders meetup this Saturday, November 11th at Red Tail, which is located inside of Resorts World in Las Vegas. It starts at 7 p.m. It's going to go to 9 p.m., but I've been telling y'all this. If we pack the house, and I mean pack the house, we could stay till 10. We could stay till 11. I'm trying to pull an all-nighter because my flight on Sunday morning is at 5 a.m. So I'm trying to stay up all night and party. If you guys want to do it, we can make it happen. The first 10 people that show up to Resorts World, free drinks on me. You guys pay for a lot of drinks for Chugs and I to do. It's about damn time that we all have a few drinks together. So make sure you put it in your calendar. I hope that you guys pull up. And the biggest reason why, because I want Jeremy and I to be out in Las Vegas every single day, not every day, every single weekend for Raiders home games. And this is the first way to show them. Resorts World said, can you pack the house? I will never doubt the nation. So please don't let me down. Let's go to the next thing coming up here. Should the Raiders bring them back? You also then, if you're going to look at the draft class, you got to look at the free agent class. Now, I will say I am putting Josh Jacobs on this list just to kind of show you, to me, the top 10 running backs in the 2024 free agent class. And there's a lot of very talented running backs out there. Because there's so much talent, I'm very, very curious to see what certain deals end up going down. Like, to me, the running backs are going to get paid the most. I think it's going to be an Austin Ekeler, maybe a Saquon Barkley. You could even flirt with the idea of Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry still can't catch the football, but he can run between the tackles. Barkley and Ekeler can catch the football. Jacobs is up there. But to me, would you rather pay Jacobs a lot more money, or would you maybe rather roll with a guy like, I don't know, like an A.J. Dillon and pay him half as much? A lot of different conversations need to be had inside that Raiders room. And then the final thing is this. What are you going to do? Are you going to give him that extension, that brand new contract where he's going to be locked in for 2, 3, 4 years? Or do you franchise tag him again? You got to hit him with that $14 million franchise tag, because those are the decisions that just need to be had. They need to be talked about. So if you look at the running back class, you go, don't like him. You look at the free agent class and go, You think about Zamir White, and you're like, Zamir White ain't it, because he ain't it. And then you look at the running back room overall in terms of contracts, because to me, Jacobs will test free agency. And honestly, As a Raider fan, I want Jacobs to come back on a team-friendly deal in the silver and black. We all do. But from a running back standpoint, I'm not going to blame him for testing the market, as he should. The franchise tag, if you hit him with it, is going to be around $14 million. Mitch, to me, the contract projection that I have for Jacobs this offseason, 3 years, $24 million with $16 million guaranteed. The reason why it's $16 million guaranteed is because the franchise tag at $14 million is also guaranteed. So the only way Jacobs is going to sign a deal is if he's getting more guarantees than what the franchise tag would have gave him. And some of you are like, man, that's it. I'll be honest, guys, I don't know if Jacobs gets this. And that's just because that's how the running back market works in free agency. So I started the show with this question. And I'm going to ask all of y'all one more time. Will Josh Jacobs return to the Raiders next season? Type yes, type no. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with here, because my answer personally, it's probably going to upset a lot of people. But I would say no. I don't see a world that exists where Josh returns to the silver and black. And honestly, I don't think it's smart to hit him with the franchise tag. I don't think it's smart to give him an extension. If Josh wants to come back on a team-friendly deal, something like a 1-year, $8 million deal, and the reason why I throw that number out there is like that's what Dalvin Cook this season took to go with the New York Jets. Maybe you could convince me that that gives us the best option because we have such a young quarterback. But at the end of the day, the way that the NFL is built, you can see it, man. You saw it early in the Raiders season. You could have an incredible running back like Jacobs, but if your offensive line stinks, if your quarterback stinks, it takes so many other pieces to make your running back successful. So for that reason, and where this Raiders team is going, I know this, if I was a brand new head coach, there is no way I am franchise tagging, and there's no way I'm giving a contract extension to a running back that has as much wear and tear on his tires as Josh Jacobs does.